Hi everyone, I'm Deb Collard and I would like to welcome you to our webinar on cultural plans. Joining me tonight is Emma Bamblett, who is the statewide coordinator for Aboriginal cultural planning at VACCA. And in the background we have the lovely Bronwyn helping us tonight.
Hello.
So I'd like to invite Emma to provide an acknowledgement to country and also to introduce herself to us all.
Thanks, Deb. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we're on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and pay respects to their elders past and present and emerging, and also to any Aboriginal people that have logged on to our live webinar tonight. So thanks for that. I am Emma Bamblett. I'm a proud Wemba, Gunditjmara, Nadajan and Tanarong woman. I'm from Echuca on the Murray River. Born and raised and been in Melbourne for the past 16 years, but 13 years at VACCA here and 2 years in this role, actually, for statewide coordinator.
Wow, it's gone very quickly. Just a little bit about me. I'm the project coordinator at the Foster Care Association of Victoria. I've been there for about 2 years, and previous to that I worked in a variety of roles for about 21 years in home-based care, and also grew up in a fostering family. So this is the second webinar that we're running with Emma on cultural Aboriginal culture. And this webinar is brought to you by Carer Kafe, so thank you. During the webinar, there'll be time for discussion and to answer any questions that you might have. And we hope you'll be able to take away a little bit of information that might help your child or young person be prepared for when they do start their cultural plan. And also let us know if there's any other topics that you'd like us to cover over the next year or few months. And if you have any questions, just write them down in the Facebook comments under this video, or email us at info@carerkafe.org.au. And also, if you'd like a certificate to add to your training records, again, email us at info@carerkafe.org.au. So, Emma, can you tell me a little bit about what a cultural plan actually is?
Yeah, so a cultural plan belongs to the child and supports the care team in ensuring that the child is connected to the Aboriginal family and Aboriginal community. The template looks like this, and Bron will put the link up on and post it in the comments for you to look at afterwards if you've never seen one before, and just have a look at that.
And maybe could you tell us a little bit about how they came about?
Yeah. So 2016, at the time, Uncle Andrew Jacamos was the commissioner, and also all of the CEOs of the Aboriginal community-controlled organisations and community services sector, they all co-designed a new model which strengthens the permanency care of an Aboriginal child through Children, Youth and Families Act. So part of the new model, there are 18 Aboriginal senior advisors located across the state at Aboriginal community controlled service orgs. Along with that, there was brokerage funding for a new resource called deadlystory.com, and also the cultural plan template as part of that model. And yeah, at that time, there was hardly any cultural plans being developed for children. And since then, yeah, they've come a long way and strengthened those connections for young people in care.
So who's involved in the care team, which helps to prepare, I understand, for the cultural plan?
Well, for a young person to have a cultural plan, if a young person just entered into care within 3 days, senior advisors is to be contacted from the case planner. and the care team is convened then, and at the care team meeting, a cultural plan is put on the agenda and discussed, and then that's where the information gathering starts. And also, what's really important about it is having the child's voice.
Yes.
So what they would like to learn, what they know, and their cultural aspirations, and who's important in their life, and what they want to learn about their cultural journey.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's great. What other things might be included in the cultural plan?
Yeah. So a family tree, a correct reflection, of a family tree and who they're connected to. In a cultural plan, it will have details about your mob, so your identity, who you are and where you come from. I'm just going through the cultural plan, just some of the information. So your clan or nation, your language group, or your totem.
Yep.
So these are things that will help keep a young person, help them build their identity. But also, I think that it helps build resilience for our young people in care. We want all of our young people to say who they are and where they come from really proudly.
Yeah.
And resilience plays a big key in being a young person, teenager and adult, overcome these challenges that they come across, through care, and having a strong cultural identity helps them, come across these challenges and just builds that resilience.
That's great. It's always intrigued me a little bit about totems. So can you tell us a little bit about, and maybe even talk about your totem?
Yeah.
What they are and.
So a totem can be a local place or a plant or an animal, or even a star. A totem helps make you, is a special way to keep connected to the earth and to your Aboriginal kinship group as well. So a few years ago, I did ask the aunties and mum, what's my totem? And for the female women in my family, it's the night owl. A nice story that I like to tell young people is when, what does that really mean, having a totem? But one night I did travel from Echuca to Wodonga really late, and mum said, ring me when you get there so I know you arrived safely. And along the way, I came across 3 different owls along the road. So on the side of the road, one was sitting on the fence and one was sitting in the tree, and I was really scared, thinking, something bad's going to happen. But mum said no, they were protecting you and making sure that you're awake and you made it to your destination safely. So that's a nice way of protection and connecting to your totem.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I understand, I was probably a little bit surprised because I originally thought it was more around animals and land and things like that. But I recently found that a dolphin and other sea animals are also included as well. Yeah. So that was really interesting. And I know the little wrens you often draw as well. And they're beautiful.
So you can have a connection to an animal as well through storytelling, keeping safe. And they were animals to keep boundaries for you, to keep young kids safe and looked after.
And the other thing that often I get asked, or used to get asked a little bit about, is how do we know what a child or young person's tribe is? How do we find that out?
Yeah. So that's the unique part of utilising and connecting to your senior advisors in your local area, is that they're Aboriginal. We've all got this unique way of networking, connecting and having information, knowledge, and who's who and which family's connected to who. They're there to guide and give advice and connect you to, in the plan, this is the plan to link you into the local community. And, we all know that elders, you can connect to elders in your local mob, and that special, unique role of a senior advisor is there to help. So, for example, if you're located in Preston, you'd contact the senior advisor in the northern parts of Melbourne. If you're, for example, if you're living in Warrnambool, Gunditjmara, there is a senior advisor located at the Gunditjmara Cooperative. And Bron will put the links up in the comments later on of all the senior advisors across the state. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you talked a little bit about the young person being involved. What else might they be involved in, or, you know, be able to sort of influence the cultural plan in what ways?
Yeah, so just having their voice, we have got a good tool that we use at VACCA called Child's Voice, and that's that has a nice templates on there when engaging young people, and you know, through it has language such as deadly. So deadly means good, excellent, you're a star, you know, so using language words to engage a child's voice throughout the cultural plans, you can use those tools. You know, we do find it difficult when we do have young people, teenagers that are not wanting to engage, so it's important to have their voice, but also in how can we support them in wanting to learn, and when they're ready, having things in the cultural plan there, so then it's, you know, it's available to them. They might not want it now, but at least when they're ready, the cultural plan's there to support them on their journey.
And when the cultural plan has been developed, is there a stage that it has to be approved and finalised, or, you know, is there someone in particular that has to go to?
So we have a time frame of between 16 to 19 weeks, and that the case manager, the care team will work with the senior advisor at gathering information, ensuring information is correct, consulting with family members around the family tree. There will be a point where you know, the senior advisor will say, okay, I feel it's ready to go up, so plan to get endorsed by the local CEO. And then the CEO will have, so the plan will be sent up. The CEO will have a week to review it and read through, be signed, and then sent back to the case manager, who will then give it to the young person.
Oh, great.
So around that 19-week time.
Yeah. So it's a good couple of months at least. Yeah. And if, say, for instance, a carer found, you know, it hadn't come up at the care team, or they weren't, you know, occasionally care teams haven't happened for some reason, what could a carer do to make sure that a cultural plan is on the agenda?
So advocating for the young person in the care team, you know, bring up as the young person got a cultural plan, has one been developed? Does one need to be reviewed? If not, you know, having those conversations and bringing it up. Don't feel that because there's no Aboriginal person in the room that you don't have to bring it up. It's important to bring the plan up and start that process.
Good. And again, if the carer does that, but still nothing seems to really happen, could maybe the case manager talk to one of the senior advisors?
Definitely. I would encourage the case planner to contact the senior advisor in their organisation to start those conversations. Also, Deadly Story. You can go on deadlystory.com and have a look at the resources that they've got on there, and who the local senior advisor is.
It looks like we've had a comment that Deadly Story is such an amazing resource. What are some of the other things that you can tap into from that resource?
Also on Deadly Story? So we've got a historical timeline. We have articles on what's happening. We have an amazing calendar of cultural events happening. We also have interviews, resources that would help, you know, things you could read that would help build your knowledge on the Aboriginal culture. A training that's available.
Oh, good.
So I'd encourage everyone to subscribe to deadlystory.com.
And So they obviously carers could access the cultural events from that, from Deadly Story, and again we'll put the link to that website. What other things might they be able to tap into?
So we've got a training package at VACCA, which is called an Encourage Journey. So have a look on the VACCA website. Also Carer Kafe,
yeah.
you can see where those training packages are happening in what region. I'd encourage all non-Aboriginal carers to attend those. Just it goes over the importance of caring for a young person in care, the importance of culture, but also like the history of Aboriginal people, understanding that.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
NAIDOC week is coming up.
Yep.
So I'm sure there'll be heaps of things that are on the Deadly Story as well, but there's also NAIDOC website, and that also lists what's going on in the community. But maybe, is there something, the relevance and the importance of that particular week?
Yeah, so I'll just encourage you to get onto Deadly Story. We've got the calendar of events. Just for you and your families to take everyone along to experience a flag raising, a welcome to country. It's about celebration of culture. It's about connecting to one another. We have all these events, and that's where I encourage people to go to. The kids might go along and they'll catch up with 20 family members that they might haven't seen for ages. So I'd encourage carers to get along to a NAIDOC event in their local area where it's just rich Aboriginal culture.
Fantastic. We've had a question. Can the cultural plan take less than 16 weeks to complete?
Yes, some cultural plans have taken less than 16 weeks. Because it has been ready. Those ones I can imagine that they would be well connected into community, and it might be that they're in a kinship placement, living with family that have already are guiding the young person along in their journny. So yes, they can, to answer your question, they can take less than 16 weeks to complete.
Oh, that's great.
If the process, the process works. So if everything's followed, by process.
Oh, that's good. You also talked a little bit about some of the things you might be able to have in the home, and the flag is one of them. And
having resources in the house to help support the young person it makes a big difference. Like it's as simple as the flag that is to one child that might not have anything been moved from placement to placement. Having something as simple as that, or books, or posters, or even the way that you speak about Aboriginal culture and people, positive and strength-based, it makes a difference to a child within the house. And having resources like that, don't feel that you're not confident enough to do that. You can have that, and language is amazing, like deadly, or auntie or uncle, or words like that. So it does make a difference to a young person.
That's great.
So we've just got another question. At what age should it be introduced? So a cultural plan, at what age? I've seen that cultural plans for babies.
Oh, really?
Yes. So having visual things around the house helps access to family, to siblings for a baby. I've seen plans that have can carer attend the local play groups where bubs would have connection to other kids and babies. So yes, at any age, I have seen cultural plans for younger than 2 years old or babies.
Isn't that great? And I know there's some really great books and that out there that you, as a carer, you could read to a child, and I I know, I think it was Auntie Joy Murphy wrote a lovely book that, the Welcome to Country book, and there's quite a few others as well. And there's that little colouring in book as well. So there's a whole range of sort of resources around that you can tap into by A Deadly Story as well.
Yes.
And the museum has a whole section on Aboriginal culture, and it's an amazing experience. So if you get a chance in the school holidays, certainly take that up. We've got one more question, I think.
So what activities for older kids? Yeah, so activities for older kids, that's a good question. There are mentoring programs around, dance programs or art programs. I know sometimes that, you know, there might be a homework class, a local Aboriginal homework class, and at times you might think that that's not cultural, but for a young person, connecting with other Aboriginal kids is the best kind of connection that you can make. They do build confidence, and yarning and talking and you know, exchanging those conversations that Aboriginal people have is, who's your mob and where are you from? So I'm sorry, I don't have them off the top of my head, but so you know, NAIDOC week's coming up. Even you know, activities like we have the annual junior football NAIDOC carnival. We have the annual basketball junior carnivals. You know, things like that. I've got memories of when I was younger and attended all those activities.
Really?
That's where you connect the most with the mob. We've got another question. What age is Welcome to Country book recommended? I've got a 3-month-old baby. I'd be reading to her Welcome to Country book. You're never too young, you know, never too old to learn, but that, you know, she's 3 months old. I would be reading that book to her.
Oh, fantastic.
So if that answers the question,
I think that was the museum. We've covered everything I think that we had thought about. So if anyone does have any further questions, don't be afraid to send us an email. For those ones, you could send it to admin@fcav.org.au, and we will aim to try and answer those within the next 24 hours or so. But I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight, and especially Emma for taking the time and willingness to share all her wonderful knowledge and experience, because we learn so much every time that we get together, and it's been great to be able to pass that on. So again, if you've got any questions, send them to admin@fcav.org.au. If you would like a certificate and any of the links to the resources that we've talked about tonight, again, that's send that to info, I've got to remember that one, at carerkafe.org.au, and we'll be able to send those out to you. If you would also like to talk about any sort of question, we have our support line usually available 9 till 5, and that number is 9416-4292. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.